Welcome back to the Relius Reviews. Today's review is focused on 2022 movie entitled Those Who Walk Away. And the official synopsis of Those Who Walk Away is: after Max and Avery meet on a social media app for a first date, they end up at a haunted house only to realize the trauma they share may either save them or erupt them into an unforgettable nightmare. And before I give out my review, please like and subscribe and comment and tell me what I should review next. Those Who Walk Away is mind-boggling at the very least, creepy in some ways with the cinematography, and just bonkers of a movie. So here is my review on this crazy movie. When it comes to some of the things that I liked about this movie, I would say the first things that I liked about this movie were the performances. Boo Boo Stewart as Max, Scarlett Sperduto as Avery, as the two main characters of this movie. I felt like both of the main characters gave out a good performance. As Max and Avery, they are having their first date together, and the date starts off good at first until it just takes a very creepy turn for the absolute worst, and it's just a crazy situation with a shocking ending you may put at it. But these two actors were pretty interesting, and it seemed like they could be a couple in real life as well too, with how they looked and how they interacted with one another. But I felt like these performances by the two actors were good, and as well as just the other side of characters that was in this movie. Now, when it comes with the horror elements of this movie, I would say there is some horror elements in this movie, but I felt like it was more like psychological in a way, with how it was just playing just mind games on some of the characters that suffered the absolute worst with this haunted house and everything. Like, this haunted house is creepy. It has some pretty weird rooms into it, and it has some pretty creepy imagery as well. Nothing extremely graphic or extremely disturbing, although I do wish it was a lot more of that. But it was still just a little bit creepy with how some of the rooms just looked and everything. Um, Now the story is not bad. Honestly, the story is not bad, as you find out a lot more about the character of Max, and you find out a lot more about the character of Avery. And like I've previously mentioned, they are meeting for the very first time. They are about to go on a date and everything. The date starts off pretty good at first until it just takes a turn for the worse. And once this haunted house is just entered into the picture, that is when things just start to spiral. You could say there is a few certain reveals in this movie, but I would say that if you want to watch this movie, you shouldn't watch the trailer, because the trailer basically spoils the entire movie. It basically spoils certain things as well. And the reveal, like that certain reveal, honestly, it was not surprising. Now, I would say maybe the most craziest thing about this movie was the cinematography, as this cinematography for this movie was absolutely a little bit mind-boggling with how some things were shot and everything. The color scheme as well being put into the picture. Like, it starts off fine at first, like how a normal movie would, but once it enters into the haunted house, that is when the cinematography just goes absolutely insane with how things just looked and everything. Some shots was being upside down, some shots sideways, the black and white filter being added as well, color schemes just looking nice. Like, it, cinematography, the visual effects, it was all pretty good. And yeah, I would say maybe the only thing that I did not like about this movie was that I felt like the execution when it came with this movie, it falls a little bit flat for me. Like, I know what they were trying to do and everything, but I just felt like the execution was just not all the way there. And this movie definitely did have a lot of potential, but it just fell flat for me at the very end. And my thoughts on the ending of this movie, honestly, it is what it is. Like, after going through a pretty horrific situation like this, I would just be like, frick it. Like, yeah. And I would say this movie does somewhat have like a moral lesson to be added. And I think that moral lesson would probably be to be careful with who you decide to go out on a date with, because of stuff like this happening in real life. Not possible, but there's always a chance, who knows. But out of all, I felt like Those Who Walk Away, it is not that bad of a movie. It is not the worst that I've seen, but the execution was just a little bit disappointing. And how I would rate Those Who Walk Away out of 5 stars, I would probably rate Those Who Walk Away maybe 2 stars out of 5. So thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.